This is Neil King from Random Acts of Cartooning, and I'm up north in Maine in the Moosehead Lake region doing some outdoor sketching. But first... Okay, everybody, so this episode is influenced by Jason Lutes, his work on Berlin, City of Stones and City of Smoke. This is two of the 3 volumes of this graphic novel. And it's set pre-World War II, and it's a historical novel. It's beautifully laid out. Great goings on with characters around things in Europe that's going on. And I'm focusing on this episode with some of the images that he had to have used for reference. And when you see this is all black and white document, very thin line, but he uses a lot of images that he had to really take a look at, whether it's these trains or this landscape, and he tries to use it within his style, very kind of a graphic style. And when you're doing something with in black and white like this, you have to really be aware of how to bring your eye in and tell your story, and take your time in some places while keeping with all this dialogue that's going on. And I'm interested in just showing some of the panels that really he had to work on to get some real reference, and whether he went there or whether he took a lot of great photographic images. You can see all the work that he's done, and he's kept it within his style. And that's what I'm always interested in. His is a very linear style. My style is not the same thing. So when I see this kind of work, I have to remind myself of where am I in this kind of a drawing? How would I use this type of a thing? But you can see the landscape and the cityscape kind of works really nice with the drawings because his people are very linear looking. So as you see, he's doing some different things. The night images, it's a beautiful image. So much work goes into this, the perspective, the contrast, the balance of all this. And again, I'm just trying to look at, as a storyteller, what you're trying to do. And this is why you really do have to work from photos and work going outside and drawing from life. And especially if you're doing this type of work where you're telling stories, you want to, imagine things in your own voice with this kind of work. I think it works really well with what he does. I really love the stories. I'm a big World War II fan. I'm interested in the trivia of it, terrible times, human history, and how people dealt with it. I really love both the volumes, and I think of them all the time. And that I feel like he really kept his style going throughout the whole piece. Really loved it. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. Very inspiring work. Okay, so here I am at Lake Onawa. Very lucky to be able to come back again and again to Lake Onawa with family and friends. So what I usually try to do right away is get out there and try to draw some different things that I see around. It's such a beautiful place. This is in late August. So what I do try to do is, look for some interesting things, and I do love to draw rocks. So in any type of different ways that I possibly can. So for me, especially when you're drawing something, there's a really beautiful locale and everything, but trying to get the sense of what's happening in front of you, and you're looking for proportions. And whenever I'm drawing something, I'm trying to look for the most important shapes. And I'm just out there with a Bic pen and my sketchbook. It's about a 8x10 sketchbook. And I just kind of make my way across. So there's a lot of mark making to just try to get the feel of that thing that you're seeing. And there's a lot of different types of textures and different major images that I'm looking at. I'm back and forth. And as a cartoonist, this is not something that you usually do. So you're just building this reference in your head about how things work in nature. And for me, when I'm working with the pen, the good thing about it is you get used to the idea of that you're just really supposed to be free with it, and try to deny the fear of making wrong marks. And the way that I tend to handle it is I'm just really looking for like that little boat in the background, like how much further along from the rocks that it is, that the mid-scene rocks, those three little ones. And now behind them, there's all these trees. But when you're looking at it as a designer, where do you want the audience to look? So even though you're using a hatch for a line to build some value and to push stuff back, you also don't want it to become too powerful so that it may take the viewer's eye away from the things in the foreground. Because really, there's a front, middle, and a background here. And I keep looking at these images and keep saying, what is it that is showing me these variations? So the more that I add to them, the more you can see I'm starting to say, now's the time to be figuring out how much of a reflection is on that water. And because I'm a cartoonist also, I'm very aware of the flow of the water and how that works too. So there's horizontal and vertical lines. And then the cartoonist in me tends to try to add some extra little lines to get the viewer to also understand that there's motion involved and that it's not just water that doesn't seem like it's moving anywhere. So for me, whenever I do these things, like I'll definitely maybe put things in that are a little more stylized, that aren't necessarily completely happening in that picture, but gives the viewer a little bit more of an idea. It's almost like I'm putting arrows or something to show where the water's going and where all the information is. So again, like if I see these kind of images like this, it's just about just trying to get the feel of it. And you can imagine from this is it's called Little Wilson Falls. And it's just a beautiful area. And lots of people will visit these kinds of places. We took a hike up here to get to this area. These are some of the sketches that I had been working on outside of some of the things I'm filming here. And this is just another one of my sketchbooks. All kinds of stuff. This little skull my wife found. And these are all kind of things you're working on all the time. I really do enjoy doing this kind of thing. So it's just a really spectacular view to be able to climb up to something like that and kind of get onto the book. So even with this kind of a thing, you're sitting there, and I'm in a pretty nice area. The sun is right on me, so it might be hard to even see kind of some of the stuff that I'm drawing. But for this, because the rock I'm sitting on is right next to this major part of the waterfall, so it's the closest thing to me. I want to try to establish that. And it's a lot of thick and thin lines, but then in my head, there's a lot of perspective happening too. And I'll try to set that up as I make the lines recede. See how that kind of, to me, I see a big horizontal there. And I just keep saying to myself, like, if this was a building, would this building be set like this? And should the lines be stronger? And should the patches be more intricate? But you can see I'm kind of moving in with a perspective already, because I see it like that in my head as I go through. But there are multiple levels, and you have to be aware of your proportions. So I may use that larger rock as a basis for all the proportions from that point on. So this is kind of a shelf that I'm kind of close to right there, and it just recedes. Like, it is a great thing to be able to get outside and to do some of this type of drawing. And we've been very lucky to be able to be in this area often. To me, I'm very interested in how that water's hitting things and it's going down. I put some people in there for proportion, so you get the sense of it. And sometimes you start drawing in things like this and you're like, oh my goodness, there's a lot more to do than I thought initially. But again, I do really like to draw. There's something about rocks and the way that the light comes off of them, and I'm sure it's the reason why I like to draw figures and faces and stuff. It's the same idea. If you're somebody who likes to draw people like I do, rocks and this type of stuff might interest you also. I like to draw skulls and stuff too. I don't know. I think it has to do with figures. But I also think I do like proportions, and drawing from life gives you an opportunity to do it, even more so than just architecture, because I don't need to have a perfectly straight line. And as a cartoonist, I'm just adding little things, somebody walking along them. And that's what it's about, is just getting the proportions again, so you as a viewer get a sense of what it's like to be at that location. Even if I don't draw every single thing that's there, to me it's more important that when I'm drawing it is to get just to show kind of how it works, and that if you're on the things that are in the front to middle to back, how the light affects it, and how you can do mark making to give the illusion of all of those areas. And again, these aren't finishes. These aren't things I'm not worried about how much of it I need to finish, but I think that using this kind of medium, this quick, easy to do medium, you don't feel that the things you're doing have to be too finished. But I do really like drawing all the little crevices and all the things, the light and the thick lines, to contrast it. Here it is, it's a little bit more finished here. Just trying to show the verticality. The light's a little strong there to see what the real finish looked like. That was fun. Looks like that guy's kind of climbing up in that area without me having to do that much more. Everyone, I am a working cartoonist, and convention season is here. So I'm bringing out some new sketches. Some of these are older, and I filled some in. As always, all kinds of variety that I try to have in my books. I build these books from convention to convention. Most of the time I draw just in the conventions. But I am getting ready for the fall, and that's where lots of conventions are happening. These are some of the works that I've been doing. I've shown some of them. I've been doing these recently with a nice logo on 11 by 17. I think that's a lot of fun. As you can see, all my takes on the regular characters. I do all kinds of commissions. These are some of the characters recognizable that you might see. Another one of these variations. And as always, on my links, we have some of my books. This is Shock. You'll find all kinds of adult and all ages books on there. The whole idea that I do these videos is for people to take a look at my work, and I have lots of books, and Random Acts of Cartooning is one of my ways to show the public all the things that I'm doing. Thanks for the support. Okay, we've moved over to another area here, another really beautiful area around Lake Ottawa. And it's just another kind of stream that goes down. There's a little falls there. But again, very interesting stuff to draw when you're outside and you get perched up there to kind of make your way around it. This, again, a lot of perspective going on here, a lot of hatching and stuff to make that kind of a more of a finished piece. Again, that's the cartoonist in me trying to figure it out, all going to that vanishing point on there. And it moves across really nicely. Again, really kind of, I've probably drawn this a few different times, a few different places. But this is Toby Falls. And this is what I try to do to all of my sketches. I like to say where I am to remind myself many years. And you always write down the date. It seems new now. But years from now, I'll be amazed what I was doing back then in 2024. Trees are always interesting, especially all those roots. So I can't help but getting in there and trying to draw some of that stuff out. So many textures, so many mark making opportunities. And I'm just going in there trying to get a good thing. The light's not perfect with this, so you can't. It's hard to see it's going in and out when I'm filming this. But love what happens on the forest floor with all those roots. This is, I think, called Big Wilson Falls. And it's just an amazing thing. You can just kind of rock climb out there and get a really good vantage point of things to draw from. And you're just right there, That's why just having a sketchbook and a pen, you can go pretty much anywhere and get a really nice vantage point. And for me, to get these little moments in our family's history, it's really worth it. And I really do like putting people in them as much as I can as they're moving around. It's the fun of sketching, and it's it's that life skill, and it really has brought a lot to my life to be able to go and visit places like this, and take my time and just without having to hear anything more than the water below me and around me, to just draw some of the scenes that I've been able to fill my life with. So even with this, you can see there's always a kind of a main focal point there in the middle, and it pulls back. Gives you a little indication of the scene. It's a great afternoon. So this is kind of the end of the book. I've already shown a few images on this. So, from places inside the cabins that we were in, this little lodge, to still lifes with my wife collects mushrooms all the time, and she was separating them from a basket. More still life tomato sandwiches. I always like drawing that kind of stuff. I can't believe I like doing it to still lifes. There's kind of more or less the finish to that one. And there was just one more sketch, same Wilson Falls, water effects. So thanks for following. See you next time.